Hey guys, it's MarionetteAngie here, and today I'm about to talk about something which is a little controversial. My opinions on Wish, Disney's newest film. If you haven't been able to tell from my channel, or you're new here, I'm a huge fan of the film and have made, as of right now, 9 videos on it, whether they are song covers or drawing shorts. I really love the film's message and story, but I constantly see critiques online and condescension regarding it, so this is kind of my open letter back to the fandom. I have what could be called Starboy Fatigue, in that although the concept itself isn't bad, I'm tired of only seeing art of Asha and the scrapped character and also extremely condescending and sometimes even insulting captions regarding the movie. This is essentially my answer to that, and I hope you'll stick with me and hear me out for this one. Section 1. The Problem Starchild. Starboy is the main focus of this section, as he is the scrap character found in the art book and concept arts for the movie. He was a human version of the cute tiny star we got in the actual movie and had a few phases. In one iteration he was a shapeshifter, in another a version of Asha's grandfather, somewhat like a spiritual guide, and then in the final version, Star is a small baby starchild who works with Asha to save the wishes of Rosas. Many Disney fans theorized that Phase 1, in which Star assumed various human forms, was a scrapped potential romantic plotline, and this is what I will critique. For starters, and this is definitely a personal opinion, some elements of Starboy's overall design I just think are ugly. For example, I think that the brown-red used often clashes unless you add some colour shift, so in my art I make him like slightly more pink. I don't always like how neon people make his hair in fan art. It actively hurts my eyes sometimes to look at because of the colour clashing, but that's just my artist eyes and me nitpicking. But now I'm going to go into the actual problems I have with Starboy as a whole. For starters, Starboy is often presented in fan media as headstrong and confident. One might even say he's the star of the show. Due to him being a concept character, he doesn't have any negative canon traits, and so is almost perfect and a little bit holier than thou in his writing by fans. I often see him depicted as a bit of a know-it-all and understanding everything in the world, which makes Asha reliant on him. On top of this, he has no motivation of his own and no reason to follow Asha other than he wants to grant her wish. His character is actively driven by her. He doesn't have anything he can stand on if you remove the aspect of him having to grant Asha's wish. For example, if she no longer wanted her wish to be granted, Starboy would have no legs to stand on as his own character. His entire personality is, I must grant Asha's wish and fall in love with her. There is nothing else there. He's pretty much a hollow character with no motivation of his own to help the people of Rosas. I'll go more into this in Asha's section, but fans are actively sidelining an interesting and deep main character for a fan character due to many of them not even bothering to watch the movie. This harmful practice has actively worked against lifting a strong character up by adding in a new one and tearing her journey down. While a friend and I were writing this video together, they argued that if Starboy was well written, he should act somewhat like Ariel, where he's a star out of the sky and unable to make sense of most things. After all, he was just born, so his perception of people and Earth as a whole would be actively confused. He wouldn't make sense of Magnifico and might assume the best in everyone, which would make him naive and childlike, which may not be the best foundation for a love interest anyway. But a close friendship could work in this case, such as that of Wendy or Jane and Peter Pan, who I've also seen Starboy compared to. A point I want to bring up is a potential interpretation of Star as a whole. Star in the movie often reflects Asha. They'll think the same things, they're both silly and optimistic, embody positivity despite how small or young they may be, and they work together to ensure the safety of the wishes. My idea is that because Asha wished, the star that came down is reminiscent of her personality and took traits from her desire to help others. Now my argument is, if that's a valid interpretation, then this would not work for Starboy. Something endearing about Disney couples is their clash of ideals and differing motivations. Some examples include Rapunzel and Flynn, where Rapunzel dreams of freedom to live where and how she pleases, while Flynn wants wealth and a life of luxury. Belle and the Beast have incredibly different motives at the beginning. For example, Belle wishes for adventure and the Beast wants a spell broken, while Tiana and Naveen are wholly different. Tiana wants to open the restaurant she dreamed of as a child, and Naveen wants to continue his reckless and carefree lifestyle. The cooperation between couples is often forced by their circumstances. For example, Flynn being caught by Rapunzel, Belle taking her father's place, and Naveen and Tiana being turned into frogs. My argument is that if Starboy does not stand without Asha or his mate in her image, like I believe Star was, it would make it impossible for them to have clashing motivations. There is no way that a genuine connection could bloom if the two never had a reason to conflict in the first place. Wanting the same thing for Rosas is what ultimately makes Starboy crumble as a character. He can't stand without Asha, so he has no place in the story as his own entity. Section 2. Changing the character arcs. A common issue people have with the film is the lack of a villain couple, but I actually have some issues with the concept. A close reading of Wish reveals a deeper character than one may think concerning Magnifico, and his downfall is satisfying for this reason, while Amaya is a character deserving of more appreciation and recognition from the fandom, in my opinion. Let's begin with Magnifico. We are actively shown that Magnifico needs his people just as much as they think they need him. They feed into his superiority complex and ego, as they perceive him to hold wondrous powers as their beloved sorcerer king, one who protects their wishes and thus them. The people perceive that there is nothing wrong with the system they've been conditioned into, even shouting slogans such as, "Forget but don't regret," which reflects a much darker image of narcissists and dictators often found in the world around us. The people are mentally conditioned to believe they are indebted to Magnifico, so they cheer him on and lift him up, to the point that nobody would dare question him. Personally, I believe this aspect means that if he had his wife as a reliant secondary villain, he wouldn't be able to be defeated by the majority because his wife would still be there to support him. The strength of Magnifico's downfall is that when people lose support for him and become angry, the only thing he has left is the corrupt power he gained through dangerous means, and it's that same lust for power that ultimately destroys him. Another small point is that there is little evidence for Magnifico being possessed by the book, as some may argue. Rather, I believe he was merely influenced and lusted for power. Dark magic is bound to reach into the recesses of one's nature and pull out their darkest desires, the ones they hide, and enable them to complete that directive. It has happened time and time again when a character deals with dark magic, it pulls out their worst, darkest desires and enables them to enact them with the power granted. So Magnifico's lust for power is just amplified, not corrupted, which makes him all the more dangerous. A part of being human is the ability to choose the right path, and in some people's cases, they unfortunately become driven by their own selfish desires. It is up to us to choose who we want to be, and whether we let the good shine or the darkness fester in our hearts. Another important aspect to consider is his dynamic with Star, which can also link to Starboy. Magnifico often calls Star the Star, and objectifies what is a living, breathing creature that can feel pain and wants to do what it can to help the people of Rosas, having formed emotional bonds with everyone. Magnifico's active objectification of Star as merely a creature from which it can derive power is honestly a terrible thing. He essentially views Star as a battery, Duracell Star, and wishes to drain them of all their power and energy so he can take more power for himself. Personally, I think it would give less weight to the objectification if he could actively converse with Starboy, whereas Star being unable to voice its protests outside of squeaking is a choice that I think works in the story's favor. It shows just how well Magnifico's voice can drown out others. The power dynamic between Star and Magnifico is an interesting one. Their heights prove to show just how different they are. They have a small and tall dynamic which actively gives Magnifico the physical advantage even with Star's magic. When you look at them, it is clear who's the more authoritative character, and this makes Asha's and Star's rebellion all the more powerful. Wish serves to show that no matter how small one person may be, they can stand up and make a difference on their own, as long as they believe in themselves. They may work with others and ask for help, but ultimately it's the stand they take on their own to inspire others that makes them strong. They can stand on their own 2 feet, and rebelling against the systems destroying the things they love. As for Queen Amaya, I want to pose some genuine questions to the fandom. Would it do any good for Amaya to be evil? Would it add anything to Magnifico's role as a villain? Would it add danger to the final battle? I can answer all of these with a solid no. So concerning if Amaya was an evil queen, I am of the belief that Amaya as a good character gives her so much more strength and merit than she would have if she was just a character similar to the evil queen or Mother Gothel. We see from the opening just how pure and kind in nature she is, reassuring a nervous interviewee and being a warm character. She is gentle but firm, and tries to reassure her husband when he is stressed and struggling with a conflict of interest concerning power or his people. She encourages him to do the right thing and not let the power of forbidden magic ensnare him, instead trying to help him calm down and look toward the people she cares for. Amaya's warm heart extends to her citizens when she becomes the sole ruling monarch, helping them work towards their wishes and facilitating their growth as people towards the bright futures they wish for. I think this is her strength as a character. Her love makes her likable and shows just how well she's fit to rule Rosas, as unlike her husband, she puts her people before her power and exercises said power in a way which doesn't undermine their integrity, make them vulnerable, or hurt them. In addition, in the book A Recipe for Adventure, Amaya's wish is revealed to be to help the people of Rosas, so she always held their best interests close in her warm heart. Would Amaya being evil add any weight to Magnifico as a villain? I'd argue it actually takes away one of the darkest moments from Magnifico, as he raises his staff even to his wife, threatening her and shifting from adoring her to the threat of injury within a short time. Most villains don't threaten those who could be considered their sidekicks or minions. For example, Gaston may occasionally belittle LeFou and give him hits on the head, but he still remains reliant on him to get the job done. Another example is Hades in Pain and Panic. Hades ultimately kept them by his side, even if he'd occasionally use them as punching bags for his plans. Amaya, though, is actively threatened. There's an idea of, if you're not with me, then you're against me, and her role is to act as a foil for her husband. Magnifico has fallen, so Amaya will rise. And that's why her inclusion in Knowing What We Know Now is so powerful, as she comes to terms with the fact that she can't truly love someone who would seek to harm her and others she's come to care for. And so she rises above out of a bad situation like a phoenix from the ashes of a broken system. The final question posed is if Amaya's inclusion as a villain would add danger to the final battle. I have 2 opinions regarding this. Firstly, in the deleted scene of her and Caro, she doesn't actually use any magic at all, so her human influence is all she seems to have, which wouldn't add any danger to the climax. In addition, if we were to go with the popular fan idea of Magnifico turning into a dragon or some other evil final form, the focus would still be on the masculine character. Further questions would arise from what Amaya would do in this situation. Would she switch to the good side at the last second? Would she be granted power by Magnifico? And if they were both overthrown, would Asha take the role of the monarch? But in a Starboy-centric plot, this would be further sidelined by the development of a romance between them and the potential for Starboy to become human. And speaking of Asha being sidelined, Section 3, the sidelining of Asha. I'll begin this section again with another personal critique. The warmer colours on Asha I personally think are quite ugly. I don't think they complement her colour palette well, and a cooler tone of purple is easier on the eyes. It also gives her a colour coordinated match with the wishes, which are blue and purple in tone, so it shows her connection with them and the feelings of the people of Rosas. People often critique her hair, but I think the simplicity is actually beautiful in its own way. The simpler design of her outfit and hair is reminiscent of characters like Belle, Aurora, and Ariel, where their simplicity lends itself to helping their characters stand out, all while serving to make their personalities shine more. There is no need for a beautiful dress for a person's nature to be beautiful. My friend and I argue that Asha is presented as a young girl with big dreams. She's idealistic, and she has her roots in Walt Disney's actions from over 100 years ago. Asha actively recognizes how unfair the political system of her home is regarding the monarchy holding so much power, and sees how unfair it is on her friends and fellow citizens that their wishes are stolen and withheld. She believes that people should have the right to work towards their wishes in their own unique way, as long as they aren't hurting anyone or causing problems with their wishes, and that there shouldn't be just one path to making a wish come true. She even says the line, "If they're dangerous, they can be stopped," proving that she's not naive and knows that there are bound to be people who don't have pure intentions regarding their wishes, but she believes that isn't a reason to take everyone's wishes away just because of the potential one or two bad apples. There's also the aspect of favoritism in the system. As Gabba says, everyone knows the apprentices get their wishes and the wishes of their families granted, so clearly Magnifico has a bias towards the person serving him, which in turn means that other citizens have to wait longer, if only around 12 to 14 wishes are granted per year. Magnifico can also be spiteful, as shown by him acting like he would grant Saba's wish, but then snatching it away from him even on the old man's 100th birthday, which is a very cruel and selfish act. We see that Saba wanted to create something to inspire the future generations, which is in his case composing "When You Wish Upon a Star." But Magnifico refuses to even consider the benefits of such a wish and would keep it locked up until Saba eventually dies. Furthermore, the destruction of wishes shows the darkest side of the system, Magnifico having a power to literally destroy a person's future with just the touch of a hand. Nobody should ever hold that much power over the autonomy of another. The fan interpretations of Asha and Starboy give her very little character changes, which, as I mentioned previously, means she has no conflict with Starboy. She comes off as lovey-dovey and reliant on Starboy, but Asha already has the love aspect with her friends and family, so it's not like there's a need to prove anything. To contrast the two with another Disney couple, Flynn and Rapunzel can be compared to them quite well. As I previously said, Flynn and Rapunzel have differing goals, and the chemistry and circumstances they have makes them cooperate, but independently. They save each other through the movie, and it's a give-and-take relationship, whereas the fans here often choose one route, such as Starboy saving Asha once, or Asha saving Starboy once. They don't have differing goals, and the chemistry between them likely wouldn't develop as easily due to this, as unlike Rapunzel and Flynn, who bicker and argue about their respective goals, Asha and Starboy have the same ultimate goal, so their relationship would have no need to develop or no springboard to bounce off. Like I've said, we have no idea what Starboy would want outside of a relationship with Asha that is solely based on him descending from the sky to grant her wish. What would he gain apart from potentially becoming a human, which removes any semblance of magic powers from his system, and getting himself a girlfriend? He has no motive other than Asha, so he can't stand alone. In the fandom, Asha is often weakened down, portrayed as having little resolve, so Starboy is there to uplift and guide her, whereas in the actual film that role is given to her mother, Sakina, and her best friends, especially Dahlia. Ha! Gay! Dahlia is the epitome of a supportive friend. She's the first one to speak out against Magnifico when he attacks Asha and constantly shows support for her, keeping secrets for her and the two being extremely close. To some, they could show the importance of female friendships, as in older movies there's a common criticism of the love interest being too relied on. But to others, there's a potential for an LGBT reading of Asha and Dahlia, as they actively serve to lift each other up and work together, even having conflicting interests as Dahlia serves the king in her bakery and Asha is working against him. But that's just one interpretation. Asha being read as a Disney princess archetype is completely possible. My friend and I compared her to 4 princesses from the lineup. First of all, we compared her to Cinderella. Cinderella in her movie remains kind and strong despite her abuse, staying optimistic and friendly to everyone, even those who disrespect and degrade her. Her mice friends help her make the effort to go to the ball, and magic is then used as a last resort, as Cinderella tried her best to make her dreams come true with a little bit of help, but unfortunately the actions of others intercepted her. Cinderella went to the ball not to find a prince, but to go and enjoy herself and have a good time for once, as she suffers each and every day under the tyrannical rule of her stepmother and stepsisters. Now let's look at Asha. Asha wants to help her people and manages to get all the way to the apprentice interview stage on her own, which Sakina says is really tough in and of itself. The film's opening shows just how much she loves her country and culture and is proud of her heritage, even going to the lengths to give tours to others and educate them, and she adores her family and would do anything for them. Just like in Cinderella, magic is used as a last resort, and even inadvertently, as Asha discovers the danger of Magnifico and his corrupt system where everyone's futures hang in the balance. Only after trying to offer an opposing viewpoint and causing her family's wishes to be stolen forever does she turn to the stars. She doesn't intend to use magic, but she manages it anyway, and her strong will and love for others allows her to prevail, just like Cinderella. In The Little Mermaid, Ariel is very headstrong and motivated to get what she wants, which is to explore the surface. She goes through hard times like her father destroying the grotto and all her treasures, and struggles with the knowledge that her family doesn't and might never understand or accept her viewpoint. Likewise, Asha is headstrong and motivated by doing right by her people, and goes through the hardship of living with the burden of practically causing her family's wishes and futures to be taken from them, all because she was trying to help and challenge a system that oppresses and conceals darkness. The fight with Sabo is reminiscent of the grotto destruction scene, as he cannot understand her view and causes her to run off in tears, except unlike Ariel, Asha turns to the stars and not to dark influence. In Beauty and the Beast, which is my favourite Disney film, Belle is an incredibly strong character, as she'd switch places with her father in a heartbeat and has lots of autonomy. She's not afraid to stand up to authority, such as in the scene of Beast demanding she goes to dinner with him, and achieves her dream of adventure through actively pursuing it. Belle is curious, kind, and a little bit of an oddball, but she's just idealistic and lost in her own magical world of fairy tales and fantasy. Asha can be compared to her as she actively tries to help people through the apprentice position. She adores her family and will go against the authority time and again, whether verbally or even in secret by stealing the wish, and actively works to help and care for her people. She is curious, being enthralled by the animals in You're a Star, but is ultimately an idealistic dreamer who will stop at nothing to help others. Moana is the final comparison. She has a connection with an elderly relative who is her biggest motivator, and she has her father holding her back. She goes on a quest which actively defies everyone, to the point that she's moving contrary to her society. In the same way, Asha's biggest motivator is her Saba, and his struggles with the reality that his future has been taken from him, but he is also the one trying to hold her back. In the same way as Moana, Asha actively goes against everything her society is built on and brings the corrupt system to the ground. Section 4. A dangerous message? An opinion that many Disney fans seem to believe is that Wish has a dangerous message, and I am of the entirely opposite opinion. People often have a warped perception of the movie's characters, portraying Magnifico as being in the right as Asha as being in the wrong, and her idealism flawed because she's young, which his entire line about that undermines. He claims she's too young to understand anything, but Asha has a strong sense of morality and knows the difference between right and wrong. Right after At All Costs, and don't worry, I'll be touching on that song later, it's established that Magnifico is doing his bad actions because he has little regard for others and what they might want. He doesn't care about their future, only the power he holds over them. This is said in verbatim in the movie, and even the official clip. There is a clear power imbalance between the citizens and the ruler of the system they follow, and this is what Asha tries to stand up to. But this clearly makes the ruler of that system angry because there are people who would oppose his ruling and question him, so he has to prove a point. I don't see people online mentioning the tragedy of Magnifico taking the wishes from people, as they are forced to forget their wish and the thing that is most important to them. This in turn makes them all the more reliant and vulnerable to Magnifico, as they now depend on him to be their beacon of hope. They are clinging to the hope that someday, the thing they loved the most will be returned to them, and their wish will have a chance of being granted. In this way, the system governing Rosas is a tragedy, as the people living under the rule are forced to give up their most precious thing and their autonomy, with only a small chance that their lives will improve someday. Furthermore, in Asha's case, she sees first and foremost that the wishes of her people are being withheld from them, almost as if they were wealth or trophies. When she sees her family's wishes suffering the same fate, it's not unrealistic to assume that anyone would fight for those they love if their futures were in jeopardy. So now that she's seen such a flawed and terrible system, she actively seeks for a way to change it. She turns to her heritage and strong memories of her father to guide her in making a decision for the future of her people and her family. She asks the stars, as they are known to hold great power, wishing for more for herself, her kingdom, and her family, and then the star answers in a very unique way. Star shows Asha just how much power lies in everyone due to our shared celestial origins. Each and every one of us is made of fragments of stardust, the same stars we've wished upon and gazed at for thousands upon thousands of years. Within ourselves we hold the power of the stars, so it's up to us and a little bit of magic to make our dreams come true. Because of this, Asha is aware that the strength of humans comes from inside and from an inspired collective of all working together. Thus, Asha collaborates with her friends and tries to keep her family safe as Magnifico's desire for power begins to overtake him, and she fights against the corrupt system that is breaking everything she loves apart. Asha actively shows that a dream can change the world and that one person can change the mind of a collective, because it all starts with them. So, is that a dangerous message? Section 5. The Disney Fandom. Disney robbed us! We deserve better! Starboy W! A Maya should have been evil. We have upstanding female characters. Bring back the fucking cat! Oh my god. So the Disney fandom didn't take kindly to Wish, or at least most of them. They say fools shout the loudest, but I digress. Regardless, the fandom has made several points about the film that I want to discuss and perhaps even debunk, or at least give my own perspective. Asha being without a love interest is common criticism, as I've been mentioning throughout this entire video. Fans argue that romance stories have been a staple of Disney since the 30s, and yet I would disagree. The first movie to feature the wishing star, Pinocchio, is as much a story about family as Asha's story in Wish. In Pinocchio, a young boy wants to make his father's wish come true of having a son, and goes through trials and hardships time and again to do so. In the same way, Wish is about a young girl who wants to make her elderly grandfather's wish come true of inspiring the future generations, and goes through trials and hardships time and again to do so. Both heroes love their family and only want the best for them at all costs. Asha doesn't need a love interest because she's got her family and friends around her, and old fables focus just as much on family as they did on love. There is a criticism concerning Disney scrapping the potential love interest, which then forces the whole strong independent female archetype on us. But the way I see it, Disney has been doing independent women for years. Mulan, Pocahontas, Belle, Cinderella, they're all just as strong characters as Elsa or Merida. No woman needs a man in Disney movies, but they aren't against falling in love or asking for help. Though I'm sure fans will just keep saying, Disney is woke! And I hate that word in this context. Moving forward as a company doesn't make you woke. Including LGBT themes or characters of different nationalities doesn't make you woke. Plus, the power of woking is one that is hard to achieve, Sora. But in all seriousness, Disney is going forward in a direction of beautiful inclusivity, and I'm here for it. As I previously stated, people glorify Magnifico, saying, oh, he's just a little orphan boy who just wants to help his queendom. No, he's a power-hungry maniac who threatens his wife, potential apprentice candidate, and even the entire kingdom. He's willing to steal their lives and wishes away for his own gain, and he's got no good in him by the end. This Is the Thanks I Get is a perfect song for him, because his entire persona is a facade, one that's unsheathed by the dark magic he uses. The awful narrative from Disney fans that we were robbed has spread throughout the internet like wildfire, and has even deterred people I know personally from watching it. This honestly sickening narrative is instantly undermined by a close reading of this film, and I hope the readings I've done in this video has helped you see that. There's a beautiful message to this film about working towards your dreams and that it just takes one person to make a difference, and that's the message of so many other films. Just because a film doesn't have a love story or a villain couple, you won't watch it? Will you really be swayed by internet opinions, or would you take the time to watch it yourself and form your own judgment? I'm glad I didn't see the discourse because I had so much fun watching it. And now my room has posters and merch galore of this beautiful film. Oh, and another thing, you aren't owed anything by Disney. They can make whatever stories they wish, and if this one is a look forward, I'm excited for new stories and tales to begin. There's an argument that Disney can't make good family stories, and yet Asha is motivated by her grandfather and her mother, as well as her friends and even the citizens around her. People constantly argue that romance should be shoehorned into the story centered around close relationships that don't necessarily need to be romantic. And on that note, At All Costs is not a love song. I swear, you can get mad all you want, but At All Costs is not a Starboy Asha love song, and even if it was, it doesn't follow the typical direction love songs follow. The song sounds like a lullaby, one from a parent to a child, and that direction would definitely be strange in terms of a love song. Typically, Disney love songs depict couples as equals, couples discovering they have new motivations to love each other, but At All Costs reads like a protective parent or guardian, and thus it's sung to the wishes and the people of Rosa's dreams. If this was Asha singing to Starboy, the song would have much more romantic undertones, but in the film it is merely a song about protecting the things and people you hold dear, no matter if they're friends and family, and protecting their futures from harm. Hot take! Golden has an opinion! Shocker! The creators of Wish have been very clear that Asha carries several traits from Walt, so I'm asking a genuine question. Are you really going to undermine the man who started it all by undermining her? Just like Asha, Walt Disney was constantly told no and had many, many failings over the years. Laugh-O-Gram Studios, then Oswald being robbed from him, and only landed his success with Mickey with pure hard work and a bit of luck. If you critique Asha's journey to do the same, as she tries and fails and carries the same idealism and traits as Walt, I am of the view that you two are critiquing Walt, which leaves an unsavory taste. There has been some criticism of Disney making Asha this so-called adorkable character, and I say it's endearing. It adds to her friendship with Dahlia, as Dahlia is the more grounded of the two, and it calls back to characters like Anna, Rapunzel, and Mirabelle, all of who are as well written as Asha whilst having their silly funny moments. Asha is the exact same. She's an idealistic heroine who's just a bit awkward, but we've all been there. And final tiny point. Kara is not that great a concept character because 1, what would he even do? Just chase Star or Valentino to pad the runtime? And 2, cats are floofy babies. Okay, that was a bit of a silly point, but still, Kara has no purpose. Now this is a little subsection about how Wish came at the perfect time for me, so it gets personal. I always end up getting personal in these videos. I was once more rejected from working at Disney. I didn't even get an interview again, but I found myself in Asha's journey. It can be really hard to believe in your wish when it seems impossible, but the awkwardness and idealism Asha carried made me honestly see myself in her. I've had a lot of failures working for this company and I haven't got that yet, but I wouldn't give up my dream for anything. The message of Wish was that it's possible to make your own dreams come true, and that a little bit of magic is inside all of us. We're all made of stars. That message resonated with my heart, honestly, and I think it's a beautiful film. Like I said, I have a lot of merch from the movie and I love singing the songs from it, so it honestly makes me sad when I see people being so condescending and cruel to Asha online, her character, and just the storyline of the movie. Anyway, now I want to talk about the ways in which Starboy could be implemented or ideas for the future. Section 6. How the idea could work. One idea my friend and I had was a twist on who could make the wish due to a fun AU we made. Our idea was that Magnifico could make a wish instead, but that the star would misinterpret it and forget who made it. We created our own version of the Starboy who is silly and goofy named Saros, and the idea was that the wish would be along the lines of, take care of Asha, meaning get rid of Asha, but that the Starboy would misinterpret it and begin to mollycoddle her. This would cause a conflict of interest, as Starboy would constantly be getting in the way and trying to keep her out of danger, only to learn that it's meant to kill her and turning on her. Then it has an option in the final battle to make the right choice in the end and save her. That way, Star's powers could be weaponized and a conflict would be created. Another idea I had was Starboy getting his own movie, and a while ago I created my own take. The basic story was about two sisters named Aileen and Mira, with Aileen being forced to study a lot and pressured about her future, causing Mira to make a wish for Aileen's happiness and the Starboy to arrive. They named him Orion, and he couldn't remember where the wish he had heard came from, but he still wanted to grant it. Eventually, Eileen's best friend would be jealous of her budding relationship with Orion and turn to darkness to get rid of him and even Mira, but luckily good would prevail and the three of them would end up living together at the end. There's also the concept of Star as a reborn human who Asha lost, and who now comes back to help her. Interesting twists on this could be Saba coming back, as mentioned in the concept and wanting to watch his granddaughter grow up, such as in When Marnie was there. Or if they really wanted romance, it could be someone like Dahlia, who Asha would confide in, and the two would bloom into a romance between Star and human. There's the potential for a sequel, in which someone else has to call on the stars, at this time a Starboy appears, or even my friend suggested that Star could grow like people do, and be a baby in the first movie since it was just formed, but that it could grow into something akin to the Blue Fairy with time, so a Starboy or a Stargirl could be formed that way. Just some food for thought, but if anyone wants to make AUs with this concept, it might be more interesting than just the usual hollow Starboy Asha romance. Section 7. Conclusion. First of all, thank you for watching up to this point. I worked really hard on this script, and my friend was a huge help with the ideas, so thank you. You know who you are. On top of that, I just have one tiny point left for the video that you might have seen coming. Dahlia exists! And personally, I think she's a great potential partner for Asha. They're close and have an established relationship that's full of banter. They could come into conflict due to differing goals, and they have the potential to represent how friendship could grow into love, opening up the door for a whole new perspective on how an LGBT relationship may develop. That's just my 2 cents, but personally, if we're talking ships, I like Asha and Dahlia and Hala and Mazima. And to end this video, my friend made some brilliant lyrics concerning these ships. Welcome to Rosas, come on, come this way, where everyone and everything is very gay. Anyway, that's all from me. Thank you again for watching, and see ya!